We're going to look at taking apart this cold steel Formax today. I have never taken this apart, and I've also not really used it, but I just want to take a look at it and see how it's constructed. I've seen the pictures and know what other people's experiences have been like with it, but it's always nice to do something yourself and see for yourself. Don't want to be losing those. That's super loose. Definitely doesn't feel like there's any Loctite on that. Now, these are all very tight tolerances, so you should not need to pry on this at all. Other than just a little bit of wiggling here, and a little bit of wiggling there. Starting to lift apart. You take that. Grab a flathead and just very gently not easy to get apart. Hold on. Well, it's bloody sharp. I just caught my finger with it. You know it's sharp when you cut yourself that easily. Not really that easy to get apart. Well, maybe I should drive that out. One thing to keep in mind too is I've never taken one of these apart. I've actually never broken down one of these modern folders, so this is all new for me. So anybody that's doing this that has never done one of these, are in the same boat as me. So it's a learning experience for myself, and it'll be a learning experience for those of you that are watching, hopefully, that have never done this before either. I'm gonna have to get a band-aid there. I didn't even feel my finger slip into that blade. Definitely a very sharp knife. Yeah, bleeding on the backside here. Well done. Well, quite a bit of tension underneath. There we go. That'll get that out of there. That should make it easier to get out. Get those washers. One's there. Nothing else in there besides those. No Teflon or anything else. I'm just going to put that there so that they're in the same orientation when I go to take it apart. Now, hopefully I can get this part a little easier. Possibly. Eesh, this thing is stout. Very stout. have to give it a wash after. I'm leaking on it. Oh, there we go. Perfect. As with anything like this, don't force it. You end up breaking something if you do. I think the thing that's causing me the hang up here is that pivot pin, which now I just got that off. So, oh yeah, look at that. Now you can see here the lock bar is enlarged so that when you press on it, it actually travels forward a little bit. I'm going to look at maybe polishing up the surfaces on both the lock bar and on the blade cut out there as well. Just something to do. We'll see how that turns out. I'll leave everything else in place there. So what I will do is take this lock bar out, take a look at it. And then take a look at that pin. Make sure nothing's, oh yeah. Well-made knife. Simple, but very well made. Okay, well, what I'll do then is I'll clean this up. It's paper towel, some isopropyl alcohol, get the grease off of it, and then I've got a little piece of wood doweling that I'm going to chuck up in my drill press, and then I'm just going to polish best I can these tight little spots, and then put it back together. So this is a little piece of doweling, 3/16 dowel that I'm going to use here, and the idea is I'll put it in my drill press here, and I can polish the inside of this a little bit and hopefully make it a little bit smoother and smooth out the lock bar disengagement. I can also, if I'm careful, do the same thing just to that surface. I'll take a look at how they made up first before I even attempt to touch that, and go from there. Maybe polish a little bit on the pin, on the pivot pin, but I'm not too sure yet. Might be very hard to see, but you can see that in that hole where the pivot pin goes through, that it's not perfectly smooth, so polishing this up will definitely help smooth the disengagement of the locking mechanism on this folder. So this is what I will be using to dope the dowel with. It's a 2000 grit CBN emulsion. I might start with 1000 after, if this doesn't look like it's doing too much, and then eventually I'll work up to 4000. top of the 4,000 micron on there. I think what I'll do is I'll put it right onto the lock bar and let it work. It's definitely polishing it up. The only other thing I could do to get in there really close to the corners is use a little bit of a leather pad, which I do have. So I'll use a little bit of leather. You can load some compound on it, but even just doing it by hand, you sort of get it in the corners. And let's see if I can get this zoomed out a little bit here. So one thing I noticed, right, if I can get it in here, there's a bit of a rough spot, so I'm going to smooth that out. Then I'll come back to it and hit it with the bit of leather and get it really nice and shiny. Another thing I'm considering doing is just smoothing out the area from the pivot pin out to the stop pin there, just with a little chunk of leather and just polishing it with really nothing on it. It's a little bit scratchy. You can see where that lock bar scratches a bit there. See if that might smooth it out a bit. Some isopropyl alcohol. Give it a little degrease. Oh, that's come right. When I take the pins out, obviously this all comes apart. So oil on both sides. Oh, that should be nice and clean. Same thing. Give it another wipe. Go grab some Q-tips and clean out the holes. Here's something else I've noticed. The stop pin, there's a rough spot there, so I'm going to clean that up as well on the leather there. I might do that back on the drill there with the rod. So not entirely sure whether I'm gonna try and polish that mating surface there. I might. It's a little gritty feeling with my thumbnail, so if I can smooth that out just a little bit, I'll do that. And I'll just do that over there on the drill press with that little piece of rod. The other thing I'll do, it doesn't take much, just to smooth it out just a little bit if there's any grittiness to that bearing surface on the back of the blade hinge area where it comes into contact with the lock bar. I can feel it's nice and smooth, so. I actually don't know if this actually has any contact surface really. I think it might come into contact with the lock bar as it glides like that, but I'll also do the same thing to this surface here. I did it to the front surface, but I'll do it there as well. The other thing you can do too is same thing on these surfaces. I'll smooth things out a bit. Doesn't need to be much, just a little bit. Feels good. You could also do it here. I might just do that. I'll be very careful not to go past this point here where the choil is. You don't want to go past basically right there where my fingernail is, otherwise it'll be visible. So I might just do from here back very carefully. I think that's more than enough. Give that another wipe down with cleaning rag here. Stick a Q-tip in the hole. Sure there's no grit or compound or anything in there. Looks good to me. Clean these up. Put a little bit of oil there. Oop, there goes the one washer. I'll have to find that. A little bit of oil there. Put the lock bar back in there, and a little drop oil there. A little drop oil there. Drop oil there. A lot of oil. I have to wipe it down again here. Too much oil. Take a Q-tip, I guess, and clean some of that excess up. Oh yeah, so that does right on that surface there. Alright, so I put a little bit of oil on the Q-tip here. I'll do that as well around here. Don't need much. So one thing to note is that this screw slash pivot is keyed, so it has to be, the milled top part has to be facing up to match with this here. Now, I may or may not have that in the right position, and I don't think I do. There, might be a little better now. Nope, not quite. So what I'll do is I'll back it up and try and get it like this. Actually, maybe I'll do it like that. That may be a better option. Definitely a tight fit. Getting everything lined up just right. It would look like that pivot pin is the first one that has to go on there. Now these pins. That one's being difficult. There we go. Perfect. Certainly not difficult to take apart, but a little bit trickier to get back together, but not hard. Take your time. Don't force anything. Now, I'm pretty sure that these screws, except for this one here, the pivot pin screw has Loctite on it. I'm not too... Oh, maybe they don't. You can put a little bit of blue Loctite on it if you want. That's not a problem. No, there is no Loctite on these. I'm surprised. Well, I'll pay attention to it and see if they loosen up. If they do show any signs of loosening up, then I will take them out and put a bit of blue Loctite on them. For now, I'm just going to leave them. Double check everything. Everything looks good. Give it another snug up. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be necessary to put Loctite on it. Oh yeah, it's definitely easier now. Holy. Wow, that actually made a big difference. I was not expecting it to make that much of a difference. Well, that was well worth it. I'll get another clean rag and wipe it down. So all in all, this has been a very worthwhile experience. I mean, it's not taken me that much time to do this, but wow, I mean, it's really improved the feel of the knife, both opening and closing and disengaging the lock bar. I mean, there's still a little bit of a, you know, stiffness to it, but it's probably 70% smoother than it was. Do a little bit of a adjustment here on this pivot. Maybe too tight. I would consider putting some Loctite on that pivot screw, to be honest. Well worth the effort. I'm pleased with it. That's really good. Well, if you like my videos, as always, appreciate the thumbs up and the new subscribers. If you have any questions or comments, I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks a lot for watching.